And welcome back. Restaurants across the Bay Area rejoiced when the governor announced they could reopen, but now just a few weeks later, coronavirus is closing some of those doors once again.
But Florida restaurants are not required to disclose if an employee contracts COVID, even if some choose to do so. In fact, they're not even obligated to tell customers if there's an outbreak at all. 8 on your side investigative reporter Victoria Price is joining us live in St. Petersburg. So what is this? Diner beware, I guess, huh?
Keith, absolutely. While they don't have to, plenty of restaurants do. Noble Crust, the latest to do so, announcing their closure right here with a sign on their door and a post on Facebook just a few hours ago. A wave of posts like these across Tampa Bay, from beach bars to fine dining, as restaurants reveal staff members testing positive for COVID-19. While some, like this from St. Pete's Noble Crust, announce a deep clean and temporary closure, others are simply a courtesy for customers. And that's because Florida restaurants aren't required to close for COVID exposure or even disclose there is one. 8 on your side has received numerous tips about bars and restaurants with potential COVID cases that we have not been able to verify with management.
I texted my boyfriend immediately and said, "I told you so."
But in some cases, transparency backfires. Earlier this week, Tampa Steakhouse Meat Market revealed an exposure but opted to stay open. A recent customer who asked to remain anonymous tells us she won't be going back.
I don't think I saw more than 25% of the staff wearing masks at all.
You may recall that when the Bay Area faced a hepatitis A outbreak last year, restaurants were required to let customers know they might have been exposed and urged to get vaccinated. But that's not the case with COVID because it's not considered a food-related outbreak. The uptick in restaurant cases comes as Florida reported its second largest spike Wednesday, with more than 2,600 new cases in a day. As for Noble Crust, they say they will not be reopening until each and every single employee can be cleared by a negative COVID test, much to the disappointment of the handful of folks who've come by in the last 30 minutes trying to get dinner tonight. Keith?
And we hear a lot about contact tracing. How does that play into this, if at all?
So we know the Department of Health does very extensive investigating when somebody tests positive for COVID, but those are also done on a case-by-case basis, which is why a spokesperson for the Department of Health tells us that just because a restaurant employee tests positive for COVID, they won't necessarily deem it essential to notify a customer. And that's why, just in general, they highly discourage anybody who is high risk to be going out to eat at all.
All right, Victoria Price live in St. Petersburg. Thank you for that. Other Bay Area restaurant.